Hello everyone, welcome to week 2 of the course here, and got my topic this week is got to do about knowing the difference. All right, so I'll disclaimer right away. This is not applying to anyone in the courses, but I just thought it'd be an interesting topic because I have come across the issue in the past, and it's about knowing the difference between right and wrong. All right, and so I use this example. My observation over the last few decades is there's been a shift in the views of right and wrong within our society. And that goes to, so I got this picture here of a Walgreens in San Francisco where, if you've been watching the news, people just go in and steal. And I guess they think it's okay. And so that's where I'm talking about the shift. We have a segment of society that thinks it's okay to do things that used not to be okay. Most people consider stealing to be wrong, and but I guess that depends on what you consider wrong or right or wrong. So I assume everybody knows about the concert in Texas a few weeks ago, and where there's been 10 people killed at a concert, and there's a lot of blame going around, like, oh, the concert goers, and I mean the concert had what do we call them? People set it up, those people, or the concert person himself, or whatever the case is. And so personal opinion though, as soon as people started crashing the gates, they should have canceled the concert because, and this is one of those things where people don't can know right and wrong. Okay, so we had thousands of people crash the concert starting in the afternoon, and those people don't realize is they are the ones that killed those people. Uh, it may not occur to them, but because of those extra thousands of people who also are technically stealing because they didn't have tickets. All right. But anyway, so, and that my point is knowing what's right and wrong and is it acceptable or unacceptable. And that brings me to about college students. All right. So, what do college students think? Do they think it's okay to cheat or plagiarize? And I bring up this topic, and if you've been with me a while, you probably heard me talk about this before about, plagiarizing. All right, plagiarizing is taking something that is not yours and submitting it as your own work. All right, and so one of the examples I would use is if I asked you to watch a movie, you'd watch the movie, then you'd have to actually write a summary on it, a 3-page summary. Same thing with an article or a book. And what happens though is some people don't write their own summaries, they copy information out of it. So we already know what's in the article as instructors, teachers. We know what's in the book. What we want to know is what did you learn from it. So that's where we get into the plagiarism thing and the cheating. And think about the irony of a student in ethics course. And the reason I bring this up is I've had this happen because I teach ethics courses sometimes. So think about the irony of a student in an ethics course who plagiarizes in the ethics course. Uh, so, so a student who plagiarizes is stealing and cheating, or cheating and stealing, however you want to look at it. So under cheating, of course, under stealing from somebody else. All right. A student also does not earn a degree, and I'm talking about a student who plagiarized through their entire degree program. They didn't earn the degree; they bought the degree. Basically, they paid for something that they didn't earn, and in other words, they stole the degree. So the problem here is transitioning. We have a student who goes to college. They cheated their way through it. They got through. They got their degree. So now they're going to go from the stage of stealing to lying. And when we say about lying, it's about when they apply for a job. Employers hire based on qualifications and those qualifications include the degree, depending on what the specialty is. Since I do mostly the business courses, we're talking about business degrees. All right. And so employers do assume that degree was actually earned and that the required time was put in. And when I talk about required time, I always talk about putting 10, 20 hours a week in per course. That is a standard expectation at all colleges. Uh, we wouldn't expect a surgeon to operate on one of us tomorrow who just showed up. They enrolled in school 7 years ago, but never attended, and then they showed up today to operate on you. So I kind of use that analogy, but it's the same thing. So there's assumptions that the new hire is proficient in the skill level associated with the degree they earned. and that the new hire is not lying about, knowing what they're supposed to know from that degree. So the sad ending, though, is one, during an interview, that student gets caught in the interview because the interviewer, when they ask some basic questions about the specialty, whatever that may be, they can tell that that student doesn't have any idea what they're talking about. Or they get caught after they get hired. They get hired, and then they find out that the person doesn't know anything that they're supposed to know. And then, of course, they get stuck paying for a degree that they cannot use because they probably won't be able to get a job because they don't know the material. And that's one of the reasons I always harp on this 10, 20 hours a week. It's easy to skate by or just put in an hour and figure out stuff or look it up. But if you don't know it, if we were to hypothetically do a comprehensive exam at the end of a program, a bachelor's program, master's program, and give you 3 hours to, multiple choice, test, and see how you did, ask yourself, how would you do? You know, um, and so that, so, and I'm not saying you in particular as the group here. But this is what I've, come across in the past. So, I use this little analogy here. Earning a degree is like skydiving or scuba diving. When you go skydive or scuba dive, you go learn how to do it. You don't just go do it by yourself that first time. Because if you don't know how to do it, you're only going to do it once, and that's because you're gonna die. All right. Now, lying about a degree isn't as extreme as dying, but it's the same analogy. You don't go do something if you don't know how to do it. And so there. So the moral of the story is about integrity, honesty, ethics, those things. And why would students pay for something they will not or cannot use? It's kind of like, hey, you pay for this vacation, and then you don't go. And so that's kind of the moral. My whole point is, about cheating, plagiarizing, what's right, what's wrong. And I've come across students in the past who they just didn't see anything wrong with plagiarizing. But what goes back to the thing is, do they know the material when they leave? When they finish that degree, do they know it? Can they go into an interview and talk about P&Ls or about marketing or all the other things, and know the acronyms and know, what is common questions or common conversation in that environment? So I use the analogy of the medical field, doctors or nurses, again, go in there and you don't know the terminology, you don't know the material or how you go about it. It's the same thing. So that's my whole point here is, um, you're paying for something, they're paying for something, make sure you get every penny of it. All right. Put in those hours every week. And I know it's difficult. We have to find those hours, but that's your priority, regardless of what program you might be in. All right. So I'll quit there and just suggest that you feel the promise you made to yourself. All right. Let's get out of here real quick. Okay, so we're into week 2. Week 2, you have 3 chapters talking about elasticity of demand and supply, the GDP, economic growth, and business cycles, unemployment, and inflation. All right. And why do you need to know this? I mean, you're taking, the economics here is, you're taking a business program, so you're going to be either running your own business, working for somebody else running a business, and you need to understand how the economics works. And if you happen to follow the news and the political stuff, you need to understand how this works from a neutral perspective instead of from a Republican or a Democrat perspective. All right. You need to understand how it works so that you can read through the political misleadings we might come across from time to time and just understand how everything really works. So, all right. With that, let me see here. What else? All right, I'll leave it here, and I'm just pulling up my test question for you. And here you go. So that's a 4-year-old grandson. What's he doing? And with that, I'll let you go. So remember, I'm 7 days a week. So if you have any questions or anything, you can always get in touch with me. All right. So have a good week. If you got any questions, just get in touch. All righty. Take care, everybody. Oh, and have a good Thanksgiving. All right.